Hey, Patreon people, welcome to the bonus extra video for season 6, episode 29. You don't see me, but you hear me because it's a very special episode. That episode was the history of hip hop production. And the bonus for that, as promised, is I'm very briefly walking you through a recording session, in particular for a hip hop song, in particular, the featured song on the episode, which is Rex, all caps. It's the third track off of our upcoming album, Kite to Camden. Very excited about that. I thought it was the perfect song for this. Let me give you a kind of an overview of what's going to happen in this video. First of all, I am going to make it as brief as possible because recording sessions themselves can go on for hours and hours and hours. And to walk through something like that could take way too long. So, what I'm going to do is explain the song to you and then explain what you're seeing on the screen and then do some kind of quick A being or at least muting and soloing and all of that stuff to kind of show you what it's like to build the track. And then that's it. I will feature the full finished song or so-called finished song at the end of this video for your convenience. So that's what's happening now. So first of all caps is a song, as I said, third track on Kite to Camden. It is one of the pretty strong handful of hip hop songs I've done throughout my career. I have been working with hip hop since the very early 1980s is when I kind of got obsessed with it. And back then, when I was a child, I was writing rhymes and trying to perform them. And I would get, the instrumental versions of certain tracks from people like Run DMC or whatever. And I would, loop them or let them play as I rhymed over them. I did nothing with that for a while. And then eventually, the late 80s, I did some rough cassette recordings with a partner of mine at the time. And then in the early 90s, I did a full on recording in a studio that featured a song that was hip hop or hip hop adjacent. And since then, I have incorporated that on almost every recording, especially rec recordings. Prior to forming rec, not much. But since rec, yes, absolutely. There's always something like that on everything I release. And all caps is no exception. Kite to Camden has several songs that feature some elements of hip hop on them. So that's the song. The image here you're seeing on the screen is a recording session. If you see here up on the top left, all caps 2, I had started a recording session that was top heavy. So I had to restart it and I named it 2. That's pretty much all that is there. You see this live 8. So what we have here, and you look at this little icon, is a DAW, a digital audio workstation, DAW, called Ableton Live. And there are many audio workstations. Basically, these are things that both professional studios and home recording and everything in between uses. And there are some out there that are free. The ones that have enough bells and whistles to do some professional stuff, of course, you need to pay for, including this one. And people have their favorites. My original favorite was Logic. I used that for a while and then switched over to Ableton when I met another partner who loved it and was using it. And that's what I've been using, for maybe 15 years, something like that, maybe even a little, probably longer than that. Now, this here is version 8. They are actually up to version 12, and I just don't have the money to upgrade. So I'm keeping it. Also, plugins, which if you take a look here, these are plugins, and what they are either sounds, actual instruments that you can then play with a keyboard interface or whatever. You can actually just play it on your computer keyboard if you know how to do it, but I have, both. Or effects such as this, which enhance the sound of whatever it is you're doing. And there are other things that plugins do. But some of those plugins, these are older, they're incompatible with the new version of 12, Ableton, and also the newer plugins don't work here. So I don't know. There are ways to get around that, but that takes a lot of time and effort and money and all that. So I just thought, let me stick with what I know. I know well. Ableton does great products. So this session here features all of the recorded material for all caps. Now, if you look here towards the right, you see these beats, real drum, basses, guitars, etc. Those are not tracks, those are groups. If I open up one of those groups, there are the tracks right there. And you can see here the waveforms of the recording. So beats, which I call that, they are pre-recorded drums and other percussion things. And then real drums was me actually playing the drums. If you scroll down, I had some dummy sessions here. If you get to there, you can see here's some real drums that I played, blah, 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 blah. And that's the individual tracks. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to walk through every single track because there's already too much going on here. What I'm going to do is give you a sense of what it was like to build this from scratch. So when I started writing all caps, I had pages and pages and pages of lyrics. Some of them were for other songs. Most of them were for this song, and most of them were crap. So I whittled them down to A, the ones that I thought worked the best, but B, the ones that I thought were fitting together and telling a story. These are some of the most personal lyrics I have ever written and put on a recording. And it's, to me, a real statement and testament, and a great way to kind of kick off the album in a sense. I mean, it is track 3, but when you listen to the album, you understand what I mean by kicking it off. And put them together in the proper order. I road tested them on the mic and saw and listened to and felt which ones actually worked when I said them, and ended up cutting out a bunch more and honing it down to that, changing certain words, etc., until I got to the finished lyrical product for all caps. While I was doing that, I knew that I wanted this to be a journey through various kinds of hip hop. So I can't remember how I put it in the main episode. If you watched it, though, you may remember. You'll see up here, and I don't do this for every song, but it was such a complex song, I needed to. Labels: Purple Swirl to Purple Fear, How Can I Know, to Old Gods, Year After Year. These are the various sections, or most of the sections of this song. So I knew where I wanted things to shift, merge, morph, change, come in, leave, all of that. And that helped a lot. And again, every now and then I'll put a note up here for something like this is where the solo is, or something like that for other songs. But for this one, I needed quite a few. So I started by just finding some beats that I thought would work. Now, in order to do that, I had this thing that I'm working on with this album, is that every track bleeds into the next track. It's seamless. It tells a story of sorts, but it's not a high concept album. I wouldn't call it that, but it is one where you get a greater benefit listening to it from beginning to end, although individually each song does stand up. So the song before this, which is the second song on the track, second track on the album, Meant to Say, ends in a certain way, and I wanted this to begin as a jumping off point from that. So I took a little snippet from the end of that one and tacked it onto here, and that's where I started. And that snippet was actually this. It's this piano piece right here, which I am going to solo out the piano section and just play it from the beginning. Yeah. Yeah, so you can hear it's kind of freaky, and it's intending to be that way because it's transitioning from the old song into the new song. So we'll stop that. Keep in mind, I can't actually hear this session as I'm doing it, because in order to do a workaround for Zoom, which is how I'm recording this, I had to route it through something else, but you get to hear it. So lovely and wonderful. And so once I put that down, I had to figure out, well, what did I want to do with the beats? What did I want the tempo to be? If you see up here, this tempo is 100. But it does, yeah. And well, I didn't change it hard in terms of hardness, but you'll hear the tempo change if I isolate these beats and just play the beginning. Yeah, so you'll hear, and I don't know when it starts happening, but if it hasn't happened already, it will, that the beats start to slow down. And it gets to a point where it finally gets to the tempo that it needs to be in order to start the actual lyrics, which are coming up soon. You're not going to hear them, but I'm going to get to those in a second. So that's kind of how that started. And then, like any recording, I had to figure out what elements did I want to be in this, and one of the things I'm doing on this album is I'm recording real drums. I mean, it's an electronic drum kit, but it's an actual drum set. And I'm actually playing them on many of the songs on this album. And I wanted some of that in here. And then those don't come in till later. If you look at the little line here, they start coming in, around bar 23, whatever that is. And that was important to me, for many reasons. And then, of course, I knew there'd be bass. I wanted there to be guitars. The piano is what started it. Then you have this electric piano, which is just when you get to this section, you understand why I put it in here. But there's that. Just let that play for a second. And then for the rest of it, somewhere in there, I'm going to have a synth. There's a synth at the end of the other song, so I wanted to make sure I pulled that in. And so you have something like, hopefully you can hear this. Yeah. So it's kind of a repeated pattern that does break up slightly, like here. And I wanted that sound there because the sections that I alluded to earlier are basically this Purple Swirl, the Purple Fear is like kind of psychedelic, trippy. It's not quite trip hop because it's got a drum and bass element to it, which you heard on those fast drums. And as it slows down, it goes into a version of gangsta, basically, maybe not lyrically speaking, but in terms of the style and delivery, and that sound that I used here from this the keyboard, this synth is a pretty common sound from that period. So I wanted to use that, and then I wanted to bleed it into more of an kind of an R&B neo soul, which was more like late 90s, let's say. So that might have been late 80s, early 90s. This is more like late 90s. You see this year after year. So this is where those lyrics start. Let me see if I have that right. I'm going to open up this here, Vox, and it goes. I got. Oh, wait a minute.
Year after year, I made my confession. No matter how raw I got, it made no impression. I spit it out sweet, trying to make it rise. Like in every underbeat was I apologize for being too what to me.
So anyway, that's that. And you'll hear as I play the whole thing from there why those work with the synths, and also why I may put in the the electric piano, which is perfect for that, and also why I started the real drums there. So let's just listen to how all that comes together.
Year after year, I made my confession. No matter how raw I got, it made no impression. I spit it out sweet, trying to make it rise. Like in every underbeat was I apologize for being too.
Yeah, so that's that, and then you hear Glasper drums. So Robert Glasper is this great jazz pianist, and there was a certain song that I heard where the drums were minimal but had a kind of a almost not quite a stop start rhythm, but I wanted to pull some of that from that and still keep it simple, so that popped in here. And then the actual title of the song, first time it shows up, is here, and this whole section is kind of a morphing of the R&B section with it's where I start singing. So singing a rap is something that hasn't been around forever, but it's something that's fairly common now. So I put that in there because I knew that's where that needed to be. This is the transitional point. Did you see what I did? That goes into a very straight beat, and a beat that starts to morph into, oh man, what does this morph into? I think this is where it goes into kind of the Rage Against the Machine, but not that hard, but definitely kind of a hip hop rock amalgam here. So you can listen to that.
Do I want to trust and verify, but I'm agnostic. Gotta see it, but my third eye's blind. Got no faith, no more, no nirvana. I hate to not believe it. How badly do I want to turn that train around? Reframe the sound, so I'm on it, traveling over ground and not under the train rolling over me.
And then this is another area where the chorus.
3 days to clear my head. I took 3 days to clear my head. I took 3 days to clear my head. I took 3 days. Sometimes I have to remind myself to ask about other people. It's like my mind is in church and I can't see past the steeple. I'm self-obsessed, drowning in my own beats to say see them with contempt.
And then you get to here. It's a section that's more kind of, I would say, I'm like experimental hip hop would be a good way to put it. It's almost like if Primus did hip hop, but you know, and there's a lot of that out there. I'm not creating it.
I just wanna love is never
I'm
only
creating
one
it,
thing.
not
There are
inventing
8
it.
billion
Let's put it
ways to
that way.
sing. No such thing, perfection, no inflection points. A direct our connected joints to
And
speak
then
our common bio to
you'll
try
hear
to
it
find the
transitions
why.
into the
I don't know,
minimalist
not
version.
just cause not one of us
Very
does.
soon.
Cause we ain't dead yet until
We'll
we
have to
get it.
dash
Let's
on
not
here.
forget yet we got stories to tell. So stop,
I am a dad.
let me not philosophize. All this lyrical sweat is getting into
And
my
that's
eyes. You don't need
harkening
5
back
more
to
times
the
so
earliest
platitudes
days
from
of hip
someone
hop
dumb
and
enough to rhyme
various
that
other
with
periods
attitude.
throughout the
But
history
okay,
and
here's my
production.
attitude in full. Every
And
rule
here's
don't
to
sink,
slow
don't
morph
hurt
to song
others is
4.
bullshit. So is everything I
this
said.
is where
Let me
it
kick the
transitions
soapbox and get out of my head. I get stuck up
into
there. Not a fun
kind
place
of
to
a
be. It makes trouble
emo
for everyone
rap,
around me.
which is
Hard to
something
see
that's been
from a
around for a
bubble.
few
Like
years
I'm
now.
not safe enough,
And that's
self-protected.
that
My
last
skin is
section
like
of this
paper
song.
stuff.
And
Can't
the
think
reason
straight.
why I did
It's
it
been
that
rough.
way,
I can't think
I will
straight.
stop
No.
it
I need a
now,
second.
is that the next song, song 4, which is All on Me, is a perfect follow-up to this song, lyrically, musically, everything. So I found that seamless transition again between song 3 and song 4. And that's why I did that. And so real quick before we end this, and I play you the entire song after I leave, let me just kind of isolate certain things. So we've got some beats here, and you can hear how, let's do it here. This is kind of a fun section, and you'll hear the beats. So and then from that, I will play. So let me isolate the real drums. This is slightly later here because there's no real drums in the section I play, which was all caps 1 measure 57. But this is what would be happening. I just didn't feel like they needed to be there. Simple beat. All right. And so then if we go back to 57 and play what's happening in the bass. It's a repeated pattern. It's going to keep coming. And then we go to the guitars. There are no guitars yet. That's fine. You've heard guitars in other of my songs. Not a big deal. There is no piano in this section. So there's nothing to show. In fact, the piano's just in the beginning because that's that transitional part from the other song. And then this is an electric piano, which I absolutely wanted in here. And I think you can hear. And if you can't, apologies. I believe I played this for you separately before anyway, so that's fine. And then synths in this section are non-existent. So again, not a big deal. That's not, I didn't need that for this section. You don't need everything for everything. It's just one of the rules of production. And the same with the keys, which I only have at the end. Why do I have those at the end? All on Me is track 4. These are the keys from All on Me. I needed to pull them in to make the transition seamless from all caps to All on Me. And so this really is a fly-in from a different recording session, which is why it's not anywhere else in the song. Let's get back. We're going to Vox 57. And so the Vox here isolated is the kind of the one of the choruses for the song.
Everything I say is in all caps. That's why I don't need to use all caps. No. I got stuck up my ass trying to be profound. Took me years of fuck ups.
Just wanted to play that beginning there for the next section just so you could kind of hear where it was headed. And then in backup vocals, not a lot going on. You do see stuff here, but these are dummy tracks. This is muted out, so it doesn't count. The next time an actual backup comes in is here. So there's nothing to play there in that section. Not a big deal. But if I go ahead and unsolo everything and start from 57 and play the song from that point, this is what you hear.
Everything I say is in all caps. That's why I don't need to use all caps. No. I got stuck up my ass trying to be profound. Took me years of fuck ups to finally come around. Trick, now I'm wise, don't make me a sage. It's sick what I realized when I fully came of age. And if I'm
So you heard a little backup vocals there at the end. Excellent, lovely. And that's it. So hopefully you get the sense of what it's like to layer when you are recording. Now, this can apply to really any kind of music. And obviously, I chose this because of the subject of the main episode, but also to show you how there are certain elements that show up in certain kinds of music that don't necessarily show up in other kinds of music, in particular, the beats here, in particular, a lot of the synths, which again, they're down here. So I really started to use them a little more there. And you'll notice that a lot is cut out too. And that's just me saying, you know what? I love layers and I love a lot of stuff, but sometimes you need to pull it back. And that's just a decision you have to make after I've thrown everything in. It's what do I cut? And honestly, in many ways, the more you cut, the better. The simpler it is, the easier it is to get it across to the audience. That's my session. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, I am more than happy to answer them. And please, if you think there's anybody out there who would be interested in kind of an illustration of a recording session like this, share the link to this. They won't get to see it because they're not a Patreon member the way you are, but they'll hopefully, be interested enough to sign on and become part of the family like you. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening. Stay tuned in a couple of seconds for the full song. Take care.
Coming out of a swirl. My only half understanding where it's slipping. Don't know which end is real. Both ends. Coming out of a hole in my psyche. Is this even like me? How do I know this is me? I made up this face for the world to see. I can't see it myself, not from here. It's not clear. It's all a purple swirl, purple fear. How can I know what an unexamined life looks like from the outside? Is it even right to take one step? Get my mind running, thinking, overthinking, slowly sinking into twisted tunnels through fisted funnels. They say it's not worth living, but is it living if you're always looking from above? One room removed from the groove with something to prove. Removed from love, removed from the moments that spark life. It's not right to be outside the light in this dark life. Missing more than you can imagine, than you could ever examine. I think I see it like I need someone to see me all the time, to feel plugged in and alive. I need to be watched, noticed, observed, understood, to feel worthy of feeling good. So I examine myself, cause I'm afraid there's no one else there watching or stopping to care about anything I do or shit out. Even if I blow out my whole heart and soul and split out, I still can't tell if it amounts to anything any life is supposed to be about. I take my moment, take my second, let emotion foam and let the truth wreck it. Find faith but not to pray, to keep the doubt away, to convince me I'm worth something, that what I believe and what I do is epic and true for you too. I don't need to know what's next. I find the eternal spirit in dirt and sex. All the old gods are dead. I took 3 days to clear my head. Year after year I made my confession. No matter how raw I got, it made no impression. I spit it out sweet, trying to make it rise. Like in every underbeat was I apologize for being too what, to me too good. And if I said I'm great, believe me, do you think you would? Now you come off seeing me as desperate, even though my feelings and actions are completely separate. But I don't need to account for everything I say. When I expound, all other sounds move out the way, cause everything I say is in all caps. That's why I don't need to use all caps. Everything I say is in all caps. That's why I don't need to use all caps. No, no, no. I got stuck up my ass trying to be profound. Took me years of fuck ups to finally come around. Trick, now I'm wise, don't make me a sage. It's sick what I realized when I fully came of age. And if I moan, it's not me throwing shade. I feel pain, but on my plane, it's so much more than okay. This is a valve pipe for me to vent and cope. It's a lifeline when my dreams dying, cause I'm all spent of hope. You have to know, chiaroscuro, well in your days. Life is precious cause of death, it's what I heard, it's what they say. But I will fight to the rebirth for that not to be so. Death is dumb, don't take me first, cause I will not go. Did you hear what I did? Cause everything I say is in all caps. That's why I don't need to use all caps. Everything I say is in all caps. That's why I don't need to use all caps. I wanna be sure, I wanna trust and verify, but I'm agnostic, gotta see it, but my third eye's blind. Got no faith, no more, no nirvana. I hate to not believe it, how badly do I wanna turn that train around? Reframe the sound so I'm on it, traveling over ground and not under the train rolling over me. But I just can't believe, I just can't believe that I just can't believe. All the old gods are dead. I took 3 days to clear my head. I took 3 days to clear my head. I took 3 days to clear my head. I took 3 days. Sometimes I have to remind myself to ask about other people. It's like my mind is a church and I can't see past the steeple. I'm self-obsessed, drowning in my own beats. To say he's seething with contempt for everyone he meets, like a geezer at the checkout counter of a Sheetz, dispossessed of empathy, put in the jerky and jerk beef. I just wanna love, love is never only one thing. There are 8 billion ways to sing, no such thing. Perfection, no inflection points. To direct our connected joints, to speak our common bio, to try to find the why-o. I don't know, not just cause not one of us does. Cause we ain't dead yet until we get it. Let's not forget yet, we got stories to tell. So stop, let me not philosophize. All this lyrical sweat is getting into my eyes. You don't need 5 more dime store platitudes from someone dumb enough to rhyme that with attitude. But okay, here's my attitude in full. Every rule that don't say don't hurt others is bullshit. So is everything I said. Let me kick the soapbox and get out of my head. I get stuck up there, not a fun place to be. It makes trouble for everyone around me. Hard to see from the bubble, like I'm not safe enough. Self-protected, my skin is like paper stuff. Can't think straight, it's been rough. I can't think straight, no. I need a second, I need my second sight to go over whatever I did last night. 1 second while I get the hell out of the light. Get down in and try to get this right. Get this right. Get this right.